I don't know about you guys, and I know this is not like the type of content that we normally do, but this has been pretty fun. Just like going back and seeing how these games played out, like the things that I could have done differently. Was Seraphic Steed good? I think I settled it once the entire tournament against Gruul, and they immediately killed it. I don't know what you're talking about, Hamburger. All right, so this was round number 8. I'm good at math. Yeah, we're 7-0 at this point. Round number 8, 7-0 against Esper Pixie. And should I speed this up? We can let it go for a little bit for now. Decided to follow your advice on playing functional decks. First modern prelim. Nice, congrats. That's awesome. All right, so I will say I won a lot of die rolls. I want to say that of the 15 rounds, I think I won 11 die rolls. And I'm not joking when I say that. That's part of why I did so well, you know. How do you feel about the card Sunfall? I don't want to talk about it. It's unbelievable how of my 3 camera feature matches, 2 of them were against Sunfall. Like, come on, you know? Yes, it's on the Moxfield, Roberts. This is standard M-Lord. So, yeah, I was in the play, go Elf into Pawpatch. Pawpatch, notably, very good in this matchup because they have a lot of things that target your creatures, right? Sheltered by ghosts. They have this town ain't big enough, nowhere to run, so you usually do get a lot of triggers out of Pawpatch, right? Pretty good card. So yeah, Elf into Pawpatch. My hand was just kind of the stone cold nuts here. White border Llanowar Elves. I actually decided to make this attack. I think it's right because he has 2 scavengers, where it's like, I don't mind trading the scavengers here because they're just going to get way too big for me to handle. I didn't have a shelter in my hand at that point, so I kind of wanted the trade to happen. But yeah, I mean, Elf into Pawpatch into Overlord, you can't have a better start against this deck, right? So, the Stone Cold Nuts, and his draw's not bad. I mean, he has 2 scavengers, and, he has some enchantments to follow up. He looks like a Nightmare, a Sheltered, all that stuff. Yeah, I know, right? Shh, don't say anything about that. All right, I'm going to pause the video for a second. John's thinking about his hand. He's got a Nightmare, he's got a Sheltered, thinking about what to do. And so you see, he taps some mana, and he casts the Hopeless Nightmare, and he's got a little smile on his face. Now, why would he have a smile on his face? Why would he know that? Why would he be smiling? And you see, I just look up at him, and I just put it on the Not quite turn 1, but it was still pretty good. Not quite turn 1. I know nothing about that, Jared. I have no idea. So, yeah, I mean, like, you can't draw it up any better, right? Turn 1 Elf, turn 2 Pawpatch, turn 3 Overlord with the Wilt-Leaf off the Nightmare. Like, I just can't lose this game, And he puts 2 counters in the Scavenger, which makes sense because his next play is going to be Sheltered by Ghosts on this, and he kind of just wants to, like, load up on one big lifelink creature, right? I feel like I should kind of speed this up a little bit. We'll do a 2x. Is this even 2x? So, all right. So, pretty good hand, right? Again, as I mentioned earlier, Pawpatch Recruit, very good against the Pixie deck because they have a lot of things to target your creatures, right? Everybody just stare for a little bit. Cast Sheltered by Ghosts. Stare. 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 So, yeah. And then you'll notice I'm looking at the board, and I think this was see, I shook the head. That's exactly where I missed the trigger, and I gave myself just a little love tap, just to make sure, Again, see, the thing is, you have to forgive me. I got way too excited that I got to Wilt-Leaf Liege somebody on camera, so, I got a little overexcited, okay? You have to forgive me. I apologize. I mean, it could be any reason, really, Sam Shop. So yeah, we're in a weird spot where now I didn't have a good block that turn. I think this is where I cast second Wilt-Leaf Liege, and now I'm in a spot where, so the Scavenger currently is a 6/5, right? And I'm like thinking to myself, maybe I can start attacking with an insect token, or maybe not. And I decide to just hold everything back, because if he ever attacks with the Scavenger, then I could just sort of like put everything on it, make sure it dies, and hope that's good enough. Like get back the Wilt-Leaf Liege and things like that. So we end up getting into this weird holding pattern where he just like, yes, I remember the trigger now. So he starts like casting some more enchantments, loading up on the Scavenger, but as you'll notice, I'm just making up like a wider battlefield. So it's getting to the point where like I'm making it so he can't really attack with the Scavenger. So if he wants to keep loading up on the same creature, I'm just going to make attacks impossible for him. And it's going to get to a point where if I can find enough creatures, I can then hold those back and start attacking with the insect tokens to like force him to start making an attack, right? So that was kind of the plan this game. You'll forgive me if I apologize for those abhorrent Llanowar Elves. Those are the best Llanowar Elves. Okay, chat, here's a good question. Which is worse, the Llanowar Elves or the Brushland? I drew something this turn that let me attack. Yeah, Melira, which, funny enough, is a 5/5. You think the Brushland? So Melira being a 5/5 might be important a little bit. Well, keep that in mind. Melira is currently a 5/5. Unlimited is better than revised. Yeah, but Unlimited's like 10 times the price. Those were 50 cents. Who was the first one? I was. You know, we'll get to that in a second. I don't want to spoil anything. All right, so town bounce there. I checked the Pawpatch to make sure it's only creatures. Somebody in chat mentioned there that I missed the trigger. It is only creatures. Now, I actually messed up. I kind of forgot that he could... I played my land and left myself hellbent, forgetting that he could just town, bounce Nightmare, and any permanent to make that into basically a Vindicate. So what I should have done that turn was hold a land in hand. Now, holding land is worse if he top decks Nightmare, but I don't really need the 5th mana source. So I think holding land there would have been better. So small mistake there, I think. It's close, but like holding land is better if he draws town, of course, because now I'm hellbent. Twitch billionaire skipping out on black borders again? Definitely not a Twitch billionaire. Could not be farther from the truth. So yeah, again, we're just like kind of just draw going for a little bit. Not a lot's going on. Neither of us can really attack. Fiat EFX, thank you for the prime. Yeah, only 900 million. So this was the turn that I decided to start attacking, because now, remember, he's at 19, right? I can attack for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 this turn, put him to 12. Must have all gifting a sub to $1 million. Nice. Thank you for the gift at Must have all. So I hit him for 7, put him to 12, and then next turn I only have 11, but I can also just... Yeah, I guess I only have 11 next turn, so it's not lethal, but it's pretty close. So I decide that attacking there is good. And remember, Melira, currently a 5/5. So Hopeless Nightmare is going to target the Melira, get a trigger off the Pawpatch. And, it's actually now it is lethal, because remember that 1 damage that I was missing, I can now get the counter on one of the flyers from the Pawpatch. I decided to put a counter on the Pawpatch. That was probably wrong. I think I should have put a counter on the flyer. So I picked up the Melira and then immediately put it back in and put it to the Liege. It's like, as soon as I put the Melira in the graveyard, I was like, wait a minute. So, I guess we're just trading punts at this point. I do not know what deck Kibler is playing, but I thought he had a feature match. Sunfall is definitely not based. Sunfall is my mortal enemy. Was he playing Celestia? Did he have Collector's Cage or no? So yeah, you'll notice here, not putting a counter on the token last turn was pretty bad. Now, it didn't end up mattering because he would have had the nowhere to run anyways, so it kind of didn't matter that much. Yeah, he was so John was actually the only Pixie player that I played against that had Surveil lands. And I think that made a lot of sense. Now, Go back to a couple turns ago, right? Remember when he nowhere to run the Melira? There's a reason for that. Well, he obviously forgot that it was a 5/5, but he needed to get the Melira off the board. The reason he wasn't attacking this whole time is because you're about to see what's going to happen is I can just do this, where I go block with Melira, exile before combat damage. So in that event, he doesn't gain the life. And if he ever made an attack before, I could have done the same thing and then crack back for lethal. So weird game where like he just went really tall on a big lifelinker, but just having the ability to use the Melira to blank the lifelink was massive. Yes, I mentioned that I did a deck tech with Nick Miller on Friday, and I mentioned that I think I would rather have 4 Invasion, 2 Interrupter. I think Invasion's just better after I played with both, because the thing about Invasion, it's worse against their top decks, but it's so much better against anything that's in their hand, right? And post-board, they're going to have so many cards that matter that I think they're always likely to have one in their hand, and flipping Invasion is huge, especially post-board when they have more split-ups, right? Obviously, flipping Invasion does nothing against Sunfall, but they're going to have like split-up DOJ sometimes in post-board. Yeah, I think Interrupter kind of just sucks. I'm not a huge fan of it. I was not very impressed with it this weekend. I think Cutsel's Flanker. Yeah, honestly, I could see Flanker over Interrupter. It's better against Sunfall. Yeah, which is exactly what happened to Tonber, Hey, what's up, DBZ? Cast Blood out after blocks. They sack the creature that's blocking my huge sheltered creature. Oh, jeez, that's rough. I ended up with X4 CJ Link for a cool, clean 30-second place, which 30-second by like less than 1% on breakers. It was kind of sketch, but that's an easy plus 2 hundo. So your last feature where you drew Interrupter before Invasion had to bird the Sunfall. Yeah, we're going to go over that game in a second. It was really weird. Hey, thanks, Mega Man. Any thoughts on Caretakers? I don't think Caretakers is how you want to fight the Domain matchup. And I think you kind of need more for that matchup. That's the issue. No other invites. The funny thing, I mentioned this earlier, but I played against Pixie 4 times, and all 4 of my Pixie opponents showed me they boarded out the Nightmares. So, it's a pretty good start for them. I mean, they just kind of they played the Pixie on 1. No. They played nothing on 1. Okay, but nowhere to run into Pixie bounce into that. I mean, my draw was not bad either. I had 1, 2, 3, 4 pretty clean. There's no answer to Sunfall. I was thinking about, like, this is going to sound crazy, but I was thinking about trying to splash blue for counter spells. I don't know what the mana base would look like, but I also think it would be kind of tough, right? It'd be very tough to do that. But I was thinking about trying to see if I could figure that out. Salvager was fantastic. I had an off-camera feature match the round before this against Isaac, and the trample was huge. Trample was huge in that match. Yeah, Guardian of Faith. Yeah, look at this draw this game. It was just like, turn 1 Elf, it died. Turn 2 Pawpatch, tap land. Turn 3 Salvager, turn 4 Overlord. Turn 5, kick Pawpatch plus activate Salvager. Like, this draw was just disgusting. Yeah, I said that to Isaac after the match. So what's funny about that is I saw him, he had an on-camera feature match next to me, right? And I didn't really see, I took a very cursory glance over. I didn't see a lot of cards. The only card that I saw in play on Isaac's side was a Manifold Mouse. And when I played against him next round, I kept a hand that was good against like aggro red, right? I think my hand had like a sheltered, like a sheltered, an elf, and a 1-drop maybe. I don't remember exactly. And then he just goes turn 1 Restless Fence. And I look at my hand, I'm like, well, now my hand kind of sucks, if I'm being honest. And then he just went like turn 2 Go for the Throat, turn 3 Preacher. I was like, where'd the mice go? But his deck was sick. I would Raven. I think this deck is very, very good. All right, we're missing some action here. I mean, not a ton is going on. He ended up going Fear, bounce something. We're getting in there. I mean, like I was in the driver's seat basically this whole game. I don't think there was ever a position in this game where I was behind. Yeah, Raise the Past not good because Sunfall Exiles. I mean, I agree with Tonber. There's just no good answers to Sunfall. Besides literally Counterspell, but hard to play Counterspell in your green-white deck is the issue. I was mostly taking out Sheltered by Ghosts, Seraphic Steed, and Wilt-Leaf Liege Raven Quotes. Those are the cards that came out against the Sunfall decks. Because Wilt-Leaf is bad. You don't want to go super wide into Sunfall. The 2-mana 2/2 is terrible against them, and you can't play Sheltered against Domain, I don't think. I shouldn't say can't, but I don't want it in my deck against Sunfall decks. This is standard, Loquence. Hey, thank you, Wilhelm. I appreciate that. So yeah, I'm kind of just running away with this game pretty handily. And his draw, like the thing is, his draw wasn't even that bad, right? He went turn 2 kill spell, turn 3 Pixie, play a second kill spell, turn 4 Sheltered, play. He killed the first 3. He cast removal spells on 2, 3, and 4, right? And I'm still just blowing him out the doors. Steed was okay. I only saddled it once the entire tournament. It died to shock, but it was very good when I had it with Wilt-Leaf Liege because it's a 4/4. Replace Steed? I mean, I don't know. The Steed is good in theory. It's very good against the red decks. The 2/2, like the lifelink first strike body is huge, and being able to put counter, like pump it up with, Cage, and it's huge with Wilt-Leaf Liege. So if you're gonna play the Lieges in the main, I like the Steeds. If you don't want to play Lieges main, I wouldn't play Steed. It is, yeah. That never came up though. Steed, you can do that where you just like Steed tap your whole board split up, but then that never came up for me. Should be on the Mox Field crime. Just do ! Mox Field, and it should be listed as Cage, because I posted my deck list on Twitter before the event. Seraphic Steed, Chalice. At the Wilt-Leaf perform. So the entire tournament, right? The entire tournament, I only got to put it into play off of a Nightmare once. One game, that's it. But part of that is because all of my Pixie opponents boarded out their Nightmares. The thing is, just casting Wilt-Leaf Liege is not that bad. There was a matchup I played against, I forget which, I think it was the blue-white Convoke deck, where I just boarded in the Wilt-Leaf Lieges against the blue-white deck because I just wanted more sizing on the battlefield. It's just a fine card, Like, even when you pay 4 mana for it, it's not that bad. Oh, this was genius, by the way. I've never seen anybody do this, and it kind of blew my mind. So all these creatures, right, they're like, their stats are modified because there's this pumping and this pumping. So John used dice to visualize in his head what power each creature was. Just wanted to throw that out there. That was dope. The first time I've ever seen anybody do that, and it was genius. Also good for coverage too, right? Because like the people watching at home with these like the counters and the +1/+1, it's really hard to keep track of the sizing of these creatures. Yeah, I was impressed with how well John played. John played this match very well. I just think that like my draws both games 1 and 2 were like insane. I was just, like I said, I felt basically ahead the entirety of both of these games. It was just so tough for him to keep up with the draws that I had. And the thing about the Pixie matchup is a lot of times their sweepers post board are the give your stuff -1/-1. And once you get into spots like this, their sweepers just don't work anymore. I did play against, it was System Magic Greg on day 2, and he had 3 pest control in his sideboard, which was a little scary, but There you go. That was the first feature match we had. That was on day 1. We got a couple more for you though. There wasn't really a lot to talk about in that match. Obviously, there was the spot game 1 where we both missed. I missed the trigger. He missed that my thing was a 5/5. But not a ton else to talk about there for the most part. Now, day 2. You have to ask your opponent, will you allow this tick down? So it's funny that you guys mentioned the Overlord trigger, because there was actually a situation on day 2 where, okay, so this is what happened. So I was playing against Blue-White Convoke, and I had an Overlord in play, right? And I think I did some stuff with my turn, and I said go, right? And I said go, I'm holding my hands. He goes to untap, and I didn't forget about it, but as I was saying go, I went to looking at my hand, shuffling my hand a little bit, then I went to pick up my move to die, and he had already drawn his, he was, untap, quick draw card, and he tried to say that I missed it, and I was like, I said go, and then immediately grabbed my die. The judge ruled in my favor, so it was no big deal, but I don't know if there's any general tips, Rosie. It would kind of be matchup specific, but yeah, I think that was the matchup that I didn't really understand the most was this. So this was a match that I lost, and this person actually ended up top 8ing this Azorius aggro Convoke deck, where on paper, right? So if you look at the Celestia tokens deck and you look at the Azorius aggro deck kind of side by side, who do you think would be favored in this matchup? I'm not sure. Because what I was thinking is their deck is lower to the ground. They have 16 1-drops, so they can kind of go under me a little bit. Granted, they don't have removal for elves, so if I go elf into 3, I can certainly have explosive starts. So can I click visual view? Yeah, I can. So this is the blue-white deck. So I was thinking that the combination of Warden and Bunnicorn can kind of just outsize my battlefield kind of easily. And on top of that, they have a lot of ways to give flying, right? They can Mockingbird Bunnicorn, they can Steel Seraph the Bunnicorn, and I don't have a ton of flyers. Warden also gets flying, and on top of all of that, they're very good at playing offense and defense because Warden gets vigilance. They can give something vigilance with Seraph. So, honestly, I didn't think it was a good matchup, and I got destroyed 2-0. Well, the games weren't even close. I got completely destroyed. And I think I think this should be a bad matchup. I didn't play against this a lot in testing, so it's hard to say, but yeah, that was one of my losses on day 2. All right, let's watch some feature matches, shall we? So this was the oh no, hold on, I want to mute. This was the Nino match. I'm just gonna do playback speed. Go to 2. All right. So this was the Nido match against Mono White. Now, going into day 2, I was a little bit worried about playing against the Sunfall decks, but here we are. I'm pretty sure. I think all of my opponents had to read Melira. It's not a lot of people knew about that one. I was B. Sanderson. I was very happy with my deck selection. If I was allowed to go back and change my deck, I wouldn't change a single thing. No, the day 2 sleeves were grimy and stuff. I tried shuffling them at, when I got back to the hotel, and they were just they were terrible. Mirrex coming in clutch here, by the way. That Mirrex was if that was a fountain port, I would have lost this game. Because my hand was, I probably go to Mulligan, but my 2, I kept the 2-lander, and it was Hushwood Verge plus Mirrex. I ended up drawing the Prairie. Well, I hit the Prairie off of the map, I guess, but these were the Ultra Pro Apex ones. Well, funny enough, I actually played against Domain once on day 1. And yes, Domain is a bad matchup, right? But game 1, I was just on the play. This is how you beat Domain, right? You have to you be on the play, win the die roll, and just have a very aggressive start and get as much damage as you possibly can before the turn they cast Sunfall, and then hope that you have their creature land. That card is huge against Sunfall, right? Because if you can have one big attack, you get them low enough where if they Sunfall, you then creature land and they can still, like, they still just die to the creature land sometimes. So that's kind of the plan against Sunfall. Day one, when I played against Domain, my draws, like, game one, I just had the nuts. It was Elf, 3-drop, Overlord, and I think I killed him before he even got the 5 mana. And then game three, I went Elf into Sandstorm into, on turn 3, I had double Invasion. So I, like, took a Sunfall, took an Overlord, flipped an Invasion, and it was lights out from there. Like, that draw was insane. That's how I beat them. But that's kind of what you need to do, right? You need to have those kinds of draws against the Sunfall decks. And I think arguably this matchup is probably worse than Domain, because they actually put stuff onto the battlefield in front of your creatures, right? So against Domain, right, they don't really put anything on the battlefield the turn before they're Sunfalling. Sometimes, like, you know, sometimes a Zur, but they don't usually want to Zur before they Sunfall. So Domain, against Domain, you have, like, you can sort of, it's the word that I'm looking for, you can kind of pace your threats in a way where you, like, you play maybe 1 or 2 creatures, make them Sunfall that, they Sunfall it, you have your follow-up, make them have the second Sunfall, and sometimes you even have enough left over for the third, right? The problem with this matchup is they don't even have to cast Sunfall. They can cast Beza, they can cast Overlord, they can cast Elspeth, you know, Carrot Cake. Like, they can make a bunch of bodies, Enduring Innocence. They don't need to cast Sunfall. And all of their creatures, like all of these things that they're casting on, like 3 or 4 mana, those force you to overcommit into the Sunfall, because you can't, like, it's the best way to put this. It's like they just kind of gum up the board, you know? And while they're gumming up the board with, like, Bezas and Innocences, you feel sort of obligated to commit more to the board so you can have a reasonable attack over those, and then they Sunfall you, which, you know, you have to commit more to the board in those situations so you have less after the turn they Sunfall you. Oh, this was a cool little turn, by the way, right? So, yeah, I'll show you the battlefield. We couldn't find a Might token, by the way. So here's the battlefield, right? My opponent's at 7. They have an Elspeth on 5. I think I have a Sanguine Evangelist under the cage, which not super relevant right now. Now, opponent's at 7, right? And with the cage, plus Elf Sheltered, Mirrex Sheltered, I have 5 power. The question is, do you kill Elspeth or do you put them to 2? Now, I figured because I had the Overlord in play, I didn't need to, like, prioritize dealing them 5 damage, and I don't think I had a Prairie either. So, like, maybe there's a situation where if I have Prairie, putting them to 2 is huge. But I decided to kill the Elspeth here because the Overlord was coming into play next turn. That would have given me lethal next turn regardless. So, I mean, I think it's a close spot, but... Sneaky, thank you for the tier 1. Thank you for the 19 months. Appreciate that. Yeah, I played against Gruul 3 times, Choco Man, or Choco Mama, and I went 2-1 against it. That is true, though. That is true, Jake. No breaks, Jake. Thank you for the Prime. Thank you for the 10 months. My flight did get delayed on the way back. And this is, so here, real quick, this is what I'm talking about, right? They Sunfall me. I play this Overlord. My opponent's at 7. I can go end step cage, untap cage. That's 6 damage, right? So it's like, you kind of force them into spots where obviously my opponent doesn't want to Sunfall these 2 tokens, but if they don't, they're going to go to 1. So they just have to cast the Sunfall here, and it's great, you know? But this is like the exact thing that you need to happen, is soften them up early, then force them to Sunfall in spots where they don't want to, and then, yeah, I mean, it's just like, I don't know. Draw just kind of lined up well this game, so it's weird. Yeah, I think I'm going to do one on Patreon, DBZ. My flight ended up getting delayed by, I think, 2 hours. Was that the 3rd Sunfall? I know they cast 3 this game. I think that was the 3rd, right? I don't remember if it was the 3rd or the 2nd. I lost track of which Sunfall was which. I know they cast 3 Sunfalls this game. I think that might have only been the 2nd, but... Isn't that crazy? The only game that I've won in this matchup is somehow the game they cast 3 Sunfalls. Like, make that make sense. It's the gold card. Oh, that was a Mirrex token. We didn't actually have Mirrex tokens. Which, by the way, now I know sometimes tokens are hard to find, right? Isn't Mirrex like one of the more played lands in the format? I guess less so now that Fountain Port has kind of replaced it in most decks, but I don't know. Like, we gotta get some Mike tokens. Come on. Come on. Hey, what's up, Sawyer? But I mean, this is just, like, this game is just like a clinic on how to play against Sunfall. And I think what happened this game, so remember how I was talking about earlier, where if they have like Enduring Innocence into Beza, you don't really have an opportunity to attack, and you'll see that in game 2. But when they don't have those cards, you don't feel as committed to forcing a bunch of stuff into play and like walking into a Sunfall. You can kind of pace your threats at your leisure. But in the games where they have Innocence Beza, it's harder to do that. And I think that's exactly what happened. It's like, if they draw a million Sunfalls, but nothing else, you can play through that. Like, your deck is, like, the green-white deck is very good at playing through multiple Wraths because all of its things create 2 bodies. You have the creature lands, you have Cage, like, you have enough ways to play through Wraths. Right, yeah, they didn't have the draw engines, so they eventually just ran out of steam, And that's kind of what happened here. There was actually a funny spot. I can't remember if it was game 2 or game 3 of this match, where my opponent double blocked with a Beza and an Enduring Innocence on a 6/6, and chat was that they were typing in chat like they were wondering why the Innocence didn't die. I specifically didn't want to kill the Innocence because I wanted it to stay in play as a creature for Sunfall, which I thought was pretty funny. Because there's definitely spots there where you don't want to kill the Innocence because you want it to get Sunfalled. Especially if you're in a position where you're forcing them to cast Sunfall next turn, definitely do that. But they also could have just chump blocked with the Innocence anyway, so it might have been different, but I think they maybe didn't have the Sunfall in hand, which is why they double blocked. I don't remember what this cage had under it. I'm sure we'll see in a second, but I can't remember what was under this cage. I couldn't find any of the insect tokens. I could not find a single insect token for Overlord. Those things are hard to find, man. I kept trying to... when I was in the feature match area, I kept trying to like so obviously they give you the tokens, and I was like trying to put the tokens in my stack, and they were like, "No, we need those." It's like, come on, just give me 2. You got like 20 over there. You can't just let me have 2. But they said no. It was unfortunate. Rare tokens. But yeah, I don't know. Like I said, it was just very, very... I think I decided... Oh, it was a Liege, right? Okay. Yeah. No, they didn't say anything about that, Amatus. Oh, I didn't know RK posted the art for that token. Okay. I see. Yeah, I know. I was trying to find like some of those, like the double, they use what they do for double face cards, where it's just like a blank thing with like the 2 lines, you write the front side and the back side. I was trying to find those, but I couldn't find any in any of my boxes because I was gonna just write insect on those. Oh, it's his own version. Okay, I see. Yeah, no, this game was just kind of a clinic on like, how well this deck can, like, this deck has the ability to play through Wraths because it just presents it presents so much power. But you'll kind of see what happens in the next 2 games. Catch 2 live insects. Well, what insect, though? You gotta be more specific there. Are we talking moths? Are we talking hornets? All right, skip. Fast forward. Oh yeah, we can talk about sideboard. So, I boarded the same. I boarded the same against Mono White as I would against Domain. I don't know if maybe. I mean, the Destroy Evil is good either way because it kills Beza and it kills all their like Caretaker's talents and stuff. Evil is better against Domain because they have Binding, but I still think I wanted against Mono White to kill Talon and Beza. So 1 Evil, 1 Thrun, 3 Interrupter, 3 Invasion. And I cut 2 Steed, 2 Wilt-Leaf, 3 Sheltered, and I think, I can't remember if I cut a Melira or a Sanguine. I think on the play, I kept Melira. On the draw, I kept Sanguine. I'm pretty sure that's what I did. Because I just wanted a 2-mana 3/3 on the play, because I want to just pressure them as much as possible. And the interesting note about this matchup, my opponent did not have temporary lockdown. So I knew I didn't have to play around that card. No, I finished 30 seconds or so. They might multiply without a spell. Yeah, that's fair. Maybe I'll get more of them. Yeah, see, this game, you'll see what happens this game, and this is kind of what I was talking about, where if they don't really do anything in the first couple of turns, you are not as pressured to like commit more to the board, but when they have 2-drop into Innocence into, you'll see next turn, when they have those kinds of draws, you have to like kind of keep pace with them, and you're sort of forcing yourself into playing into those Sunfalls. And that's what happened this game. You know, it's like I felt sort of pressured to commit more to the battlefield to try to keep pace with him, and then that just kind of plays into Sunfall. This matchup is really difficult when they have these starts. I did, yes. Yeah, I mean, at least he didn't gain life, but like, see, this is what I'm talking about. Look at this battlefield, right? I don't have any good attacks. I have my biggest creature is a 4/4, and he is a 4/5. So I have not a single good attack, right? So now I have to try to commit more, unless you have a kill spell. If you have like a Get Lost, a Destroy Evil, if you can remove the Beza, your attacks are a lot better, and you don't have to commit more. But I didn't have that. So like I felt kind of, committed, felt maybe pressured into committing more to the battlefield, and that's where you just run into Sunfall. Yes, I got a foil Terror of the Peaks promotional card and 550 United States dollars. This is the Terror of the Peaks, which I didn't sell. Dealers were offering $250 for it, but I decided to hold. And I think I made a good call. Because if you go look on TCG Player, there may or may not be some listings for $1,000. I don't know if those are going to sell at that price, but, we'll see. Am I disappointed for not winning 3 matches in day 2? I mean, obviously it sucks, but I ran into 2 Sunfall decks, which horrible matchups. I don't expect to beat the Sunfall decks. I mulled the 5 twice against Gruul, which, when that happens, that happens. And then I lost to the Blue-White Convoke deck, which I think is just a bad matchup. So I lost to 3 bad matchups and mulling the 5 twice against Gruul. That's just magic. And to be fair, with how good I ran on day 1, I won 7 out of 9 die rolls on day 1. And I think I had like turn 1 elf on the play. Like, I can't even count. At least 10 times. So I got very lucky on day 1. Your luck's going to run out eventually, and that's okay. I thought I played pretty well in most of these games. Like, I thought I played to the best of my ability in a lot of these spots. Like, I'm happy about the way I played. There's one, I think, pretty critical error that we'll talk about in the last feature match after this one. Yeah, see, I finally find the Beza, but by the time I found the Beza, my opponent already has more stuff in play, so my attacks still aren't phenomenal here. Why would I play my own Sunfalls? Okay, correct me if I'm wrong, but the person who won the tournament, isn't that just JED's deck from Worlds? Like, I'm not sure they changed any cards. They maybe changed a couple, but it was very, very similar to JED's deck. Because they even had the overprotects. I was honestly very surprised that Leyline won the tournament. Hey, what's up, Zanetti? Thank you, I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, it's just, that's what happens. You can't, look, Tinook, you can't run good the entire tournament, It's eventually going to run out. Oh, was this the spot? Hold on. Let me see. Yeah, okay. So here, right? Look at this. So this was the exact spot that I was talking about. I have a 5/5 beast, right? My opponent blocks with 4 1/1s and 2 Enduring Innocences, right? Now watch what happens when we go to damage. Now you'll remember, 5 power, I only killed 4 1/1s. I specifically left the Innocences in play because I felt like this board was something they had to Sunfall, and I want these in play because if they go to the graveyard, they don't get Sunfalled. But if I leave them in play, they'll get eaten up by the Sunfall. So, just something to keep in mind. Anyway, I think that play was right, leaving them in play. Now, I'm in kind of a weird spot where if they attack with the Enduring Innocences, then it's like, if I block, they then get it back, so I kind of also can't block, but that's okay. I mean, this game's going to last a long. This game's going to last a long time, so. Oh yeah, they had 4 Snakeskin too, right? I think they had 4 Snakeskin, 2 Overprotect, and they weren't playing Manifold Mouse, I think? Hey, what's up, Shano? I think the Cage deck is phenomenal. If you can dodge Mono White and Domain, then yeah, it was no Manifold, no Nemesis. So yeah, I don't know. I still feel like I'd rather be playing the more traditional build with Talent, because Talent is a broken card. But I don't know. I mean, I'm sure that there are definitely matchups where like having Leyline improves some of your spots, right? Storm Chaser's Talent is 20? I actually didn't get to play against Green Black in the entire tournament. Oh yeah, I was thinking this game was going to last a long time, but then he split up me, and I was like, never mind, I'm good. As a matter of fact, I'm all set. Let's go to game 3. I could never beat the split up there. No chance. Alright, split up is fine. Could have, saved one thing with a Melira, but... Do you wish you had some way to protect yourself against Sunfall? Well, Heroic Intervention wouldn't work. Because Heroic does not prevent... That's the thing. That's the reason why Sunfall is so messed up. There's no counterplay to it. Like, there's cards like Melira that says when a creature is put into a graveyard, return to the battlefield. Doesn't work. There's, ways to give your... I think there are ways to give your team indestructible, but those don't even work. The only card that I thought about during testing that might be good against Sunfall was Cutsil's Flanker, because it says it's a 3/1 flash, and when it enters the battlefield, yeah, Special Effects is talking about it. When it enters the battlefield, you put a counter on it for each creature that left the battlefield this turn. So it does work, but that's the only good card, Unless you wanted to splash for counter spells, which maybe you could, but... Oh, so here's I think a pretty big misplay here. So I'm trying to remember at the time what my hand was. I think I had a couple more 3-drops. I might have had an Overlord or something. I actually think I'm supposed to attack with the Toby and the 4/4 here, because remember, I know they have a bunch of split ups post board, and obviously it kind of looks bad to bin the Toby just to get in 4 damage, but more importantly, right, if my follow-up play is if I want to play a 3-drop this turn, I want to be able to have 2 tapped creatures and 2 untapped creatures, so I'm not just completely destroyed by split up. So I think maybe I'm supposed to attack with Toby and 4/4 this turn. It's really tough, though. It's really tough. Yeah, that's the thing, too. I'm not sure it would have made a ton of difference. But it does make the split up kind of awkward next turn, where if they attack with Animus and destroy untapped, then I still get to keep the 4/4 and the elf, and then I could just go attack for 5, play a 3-drop, and just kind of like keep following up with it. So I not only get in the 4 damage this turn, but they can't really split up untapped, so their only play is kind of attack and then split up tapped, in which case I still keep 5 power in play, so it not only gets in 4 damage, it actually kind of gets in 9, because I'm locking in 5 the next turn, because their whole turn is attack for 2, land split up, right? So, I don't know, it's close. Very, very close spot here. I think I'm supposed to attack, but it's tough. Especially with the Prairie too, right? Because if I attack, right, I get to keep this and the elf, right? I'm locked into keeping the elf, which gives me 2 bodies, mana for the Prairie, and I get a body off of this, right? And if their play, so let's say this is gone, this is tapped, right? My battlefield is this tapped, these 2 untapped. If they destroy untapped, right, then, or rather, well, no, I guess they would just destroy tapped then, right? So they would destroy the beast and the elf. So they destroy the, yeah, Now that I think about it, they would just not attack, kill these 2. I would have these 2 versus this. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so that's probably still bad, right? I do think Peacekeeper would probably be better than Interrupter, but not by a lot. Well, I ordered the Beast token. I didn't order Mites. Honestly, I have Mites in a box somewhere. I just forgot to bring them. Right, but what I'm saying is it's at least better than Aven. Aven sucks. Gobakon is the best one by far. The point that we're getting at is you need more than just Gobakon, right? Like, I want to play 4 Gobakon and 2 something else. Like, I want to have 6 cards that sort of like do something against Sunfall. I think all the Pixie players I played against said that this was like probably their worst matchup. And I went 4-0 against Pixie. I think the matchup is insane for me. So what went wrong this game? I even interrupted the Sunfall. I got in a huge attack. They're at 18. They had 1 blocker, so they block here. They take 3, 6, 8, 10, 12, go to 6, and I have the Prairie. Oh, I guess the problem this game was that they just got a 7. They just got a good blocker for the Prairie, right? Because all I had left was the Prairie at that point, but they could just block with the Sunfall token. Sunfall is so messed up. What a stupid card. What a stupid card. Is the 3-mana 3/1 that exiles a card from their hand legal? Paulo? No, Paulo's not legal. If you were going to do that, you would just play the 3/3 Vigilance that we were just talking about that I forgot the name already. What about Stonebrain? Well, the problem with Stonebrain is sometimes your domain opponents have a split of Wraths, right? Example, my round 12 opponent had 2 Sunfall, 1 split up, 1 Day of Judgment. So you can't Stonebrain those people. What do you think about Parting Gust in the side? Why would you want Parting Gust? I don't know. What is there like? I guess you can Parting Gust your own thing to save it against. Well, no, because it just brings it right back into play, right? You like that invasion? Looked at the hand, saw the goods, and I was like, yeah, I'm good. Yeah, that was that match. I think maybe if I make the attack with Toby token, the game plays out slightly differently, but I don't think it changes a ton. It's like the only thing that I could have done differently that match, I believe. So, tough match. Oh, it brings it back end step. Oh. Because I saw a list from somebody who won the 10K on Sunday that had no Sheltered by Ghost and had 3 Parting Gust main, and I didn't realize that it brought it back end phase. That's interesting. Makes me think about that. Is that card even legal? Heroic Intervention. All right, so those were the first 2 feature matches. We got one left. Uno mas. All right, uno mas. Playback speed. I'm going to keep going on 2. So this was 10th, round 13. Sorry, I said 12 before, but it's round 13. Playing against Gray. And Gray is playing Domain. More Sunfalls. More of what we don't want to see. But remember, we had open deck lists. And I did know that she had 2 Sunfall, 1 Day of Judgment, 1 split up main. And then I want to say her sideboard had a second split up and maybe a second Day of Judgment. Don't quote me on that, though. They'll show the sideboards after. Every single one of my opponents had to read Melira. Can we W Ross in the chat, though? Seriously, W Ross for suggesting Melira. That card won me at least like 3 games. Just being a 3/3 that didn't die to shock. Block sack against the big lifelinker. The card was just great. Play Scroll Shift? Well, doesn't Scroll Shift bring it back immediately, or is Scroll Shift also end step? Yeah, so that one's not good against Sunfall. So yeah, this game is nothing too crazy going on here. Yeah, nothing too crazy. Pawpatch got smitten, put a counter on Melira. And then I think, I'm trying to remember what I had this turn. I want to say, I think I ended up taking a Sheltered off this cage. I don't remember. This is a weird spot. I'm trying to see if I can remember what was in the cage. Hold on. It's going fast, but... Okay, should we slow it back down? Hold on. I want to see what was under this cage. Go back. Was it Sheltered? Okay. Yeah. I'll take Corey's word for it. What's up, Corey? How you doing? We're going back and watching the feature matches to see if there was anything that I could have maybe done differently. The only thing that I've seen so far was the previous match when my opponent played Dust Animus. I could have suicided the Toby to get in 4 damage, which would have left me better against split up, but I still might have lost that game. I'm good. I mean, I'm exhausted, but I'm, like I said, I could not imagine this weekend of going any better than it did. So yeah. So if it was Sheltered, I feel like maybe I'm supposed to just Sheltered one of the insects before blocks. But I think the reason I didn't Sheltered before blocks is I was giving her the option to double block the Melira, and then I would just go Sheltered on Sanguine, kill one of the things. But I don't know, if she has Sunfall in hand, she's really never double blocking here, so maybe I'm supposed to just do it and then get more damage in. But, there is the other thing where if I do it before blocks, she can then trade for the creature that has the Sheltered on it, but my life total doesn't matter that much in this matchup, so. Very true. We don't talk about that, okay. Sly, thank you for the 18 months. Deciding to cast here makes it pretty obvious. Did I tank? When I activated the cage, did I think about casting it? No, I think I decided pretty quickly. Or you're just saying that, when I don't cast it, it's pretty obvious. I don't know if that's necessarily true, though, right? Because if, let's say, for example, I want to Shelter the Beanstalk, for posterity's sake, do not ever Shelter an Overlord. Don't do that. Because if they cast Sunfall, you lose the game. So if I Sheltered on the Overlord, that's bad. And if I Sheltered on Beanstalk, they cast Sunfall, they just get the Beanstalk back anyways. So I think it's fine to not cast the Sheltered here. But what I think I should have done was just kill one of the 2/1s to get in more damage, right? Well, that's not necessarily true. Because if I have a good enough follow-up, right, say there's like a Liege or a Salvager underneath, right? If there's one of those underneath, then I feel confident that this battlefield with her at 11 is enough for her to like kind of need to Sunfall it regardless. Maybe it's different if she has Binding, where she can like clear my threats one at a time. But if she doesn't have a spot removal spell, she kind of has to Sunfall this board. And then in that case, I can then play follow-up and then use the cage on the follow-up, right? So it's... But again, there's also a thing where like maybe if it's a threat, then I can threaten lethal next turn. I think the reason that I chose Sheltered over, there might have been a Sanguine, right? I think there was a 3-drop that I could have put under the cage here. But the reason I didn't want to do that and just shove everything is because then if she just goes untap land Sunfall, then what do I do, right? I have nothing left over. The cage has nothing under it. I guess I still have what's left in my hand, so maybe that's better. I don't know. It's a tough spot. Yeah, I could have taken maybe a second cage. Like, I think it might have been cage, sheltered, bunch of lands. I don't think there was a threat under there. I don't remember. It might have been an elf too. Scroll Shift, Overlord, and the Sunfall matchups. Oh, where you like impend the Overlord, they Sunfall, then you can Scroll Shift it. It's maybe okay as like a one of. Steed's good against mono red. That's mainly what it's there for. This was the other very, very interesting spot. I'm curious to hear you guys' thoughts on this. So I animate Prairie, right? She's at 11. I'm threatening lethal, right? I have the Sanguine Evangelist is 3, plus the Prairie, so that's 4. 5, 6, 7, 8, plus 2 is 10, plus 4 is 14. Okay, so this is an attack for 14. Now, she's got something. You know, she didn't use her 4 mana, so I know she's got something. And I just, for some reason, because she played a tap land that turn, I just have it like dead set in my head that she definitely has Sunfall in hand, right? So she goes to Get Lost My Prairie. And I'm not sure I like this play. I end up sacrificing the Melira here. And looking back on it, if I had just caged onto the Evangelist, let the Prairie die, and then attack with both, right? That would be an attack for 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, putting her to 2. I think that's maybe a better spot. But like I was just so like for some reason I just had this like the soul read that she had Sunfall in hand, so I decided to save the Prairie. But I think this play was bad. Looking back on it. Because, like I said, it's like really only good if she has exactly Sunfall. And in that, like, even in that case, right, where I, like, say I sack the Melira to get the Prairie, I mean, I think either way I'm probably losing this game to Zur regardless, but... Oh, this is a fun match for sure. This is definitely a fun match. I think I also didn't cast the Sheltered. I could have put a counter on Melira and then cast... Oh, wait, hold on. Did I miss lethal this turn? Give me a sec. Go back. Okay, so if I put a counter on Melira, that's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It's one short, right? It's one short. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 from the Evangelist, 10 from the Sheltered. You have 2 3s and a 4. 3, 3. Oh, right, I can't flip the cage this turn. I have 2 3s and a 4. Okay, you're right. Yeah, I believe Gray is Yatsugi, because she posted in the Discord last night. Yeah, so I end up saving the Prairie, and I think that play was bad, because like, if I just attack, if I let the thing die, put a counter on Melira, that's 3, 4, 5... 6, 7, 8, 9, put her to 2. So she goes to 2. Then, spoiler alert, she has Zur. But then she goes Zur, Animate, go up to 9 with 2 blockers. I have... Yeah. So then I have an out of drawing... I guess I have an out of drawing another Sheltered? No, because I only have 2 creatures, so I can't get to the cage. Because I don't have the Prairie anymore. It's a tough spot, right? I feel like no matter what I do, I probably can't beat the Zur this game. I don't know. It's tough. Very tough spot. The Zur was brutal here, though. Zur was very, very brutal. Yeah, I'm trying to think of how this game would have played out if I had not sacked the Melira. That's what I was thinking, and because she played tap, because her 5th land came into play tap, I just like had it. I just had, for some reason like could not get this thought out of my head that she had Sunfall. But the play that I made is horrendous against Zur. Now, granted, I think against Zur I'm kind of in a really tough spot regardless. Oh, actually, it's not even lethal, right? Okay, so I think I have another Sheltered in my hand too, right? So let's assume for the sake of argument, I keep the Melira in play, okay? So Melira's a 5/5, Sanguine Evangelist is a 3/2, so I have those two in play with now Toby and Beast. Oh, right, but the Prairie would be dead, so I couldn't go Toby, Sheltered, and Cage. Because I would be a mana short if the Prairie died, right? Yeah. So if we replace the Prairie with a 5/5 Melira, I can only cast one Sheltered this turn. So what would I do in that case? I would probably Sheltered on... I just cast the Sheltered from hand. Target the... I have to target Melira, I think? Because if I target Sanguine, she can double block it the Zur back. So I put it on Melira because Melira's a 5/5. And then I attack with... I kill the Zur. I attack with Bull. She probably just goes Chump Chump. Maybe double... No, she can't double Evangelist. So Chump Chump. And then she still has the Overlord. So then she attacks next turn. I have the other Sheltered. It's a really tricky spot, right? Was there anything else you could do? My hand at that point, I drew the Toby for turn. So the only other card in my hand at that point was the other Sheltered. But, I mean, there's no reason to cast the Shelter there. So I had nothing in hand that I could have played that turn. This is a really, really tricky game, huh? So in that instance, where I Sheltered the Zur, she goes Chump Chump. Attack, make 2 tokens. And then I still have Sheltered under Cage. If she has any kill spell for the Sheltered, I still probably just lose. It's a really tough spot. Mostly Arena. When I play Standard, I really only play on Arena. The one of Toby was good. Very good. Oh, this was the other thing that I think I messed up. So I decided to Shelter a token, right? And this play looks weird, but I was thinking that if I Sheltered the Zur... no, I should have Sheltered the Zur, right? Because for some reason I thought that she could double block. But if I Shelter Zur and she double blocks the Evangelist, then I just use the Cage to Shelter a blocker. She loses the other token. That keeps her with the Overlord in play. Is that better? Instead of just killing the tokens. She's at 14. Can I force her to chump with Zur this turn? Not even close, right? So I guess maybe what I'm supposed to do is kill the Zur, then Shelter the Overlord and just pray that she has nothing? Is that the only other good line? Just like put sheltered on Zur, Sheltered on Overlord, and just like cross your fingers. I don't see any other good line. Because remember, the card under Cage isn't that they're sheltered by ghosts. You could like Sheltered on Beast to split it up. So that way if she has one kill spell, she doesn't get back both the Overlord and the Zur. This is a really tricky game. It's a very, very tricky game. I think because her hand was just juiced, I don't think it mattered what line I took. Like, she ended up having the Zur and the Sunfall. So I think regardless of what line I took, I was still probably going to lose. But still. you know. Yeah. Well, in my head, I was like, I can kill the Zur and let her keep the Overlord, and then, like, I don't know. That was just bad. Maybe what, you know what, maybe the line was, now that I think about it, maybe the line is sheltered the Zur, attack, let her attack with the Overlord, and just hope that, like, the next shelter can clear a blocker. I don't know. I'm sure there were multiple B. Sanderson. Yeah, we're not talking about that. I agree. Spell Skittles, thank you for the 41 1-3 sub. What am I running on MTGA Standard right now? This deck. This Cage deck is nice. Gotta play this Cage deck. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I think there was really not a lot that I could have done in this match. It was tough. She ended up having the Sunfall too, so I think that regardless of what line I took, I was going to be in a pretty bad spot no matter what. I believe it was... I want to say she had 4 Zers. I'm pretty sure she had 4. You can't shelter your own things. Shelter's only your opponent's stuff. Yeah, which is pretty accurate, right? That's kind of the exact, like, that's basically the exact thing, the conclusion that I came to. I was like, if she has literally any spell, I can't win. The heads, so they gave us the option to wear the headsets on day 1, but day 2 it wasn't optional. They forced us to wear them. But it was mostly they were noise canceling, and they were only connected to each other and the table spotter. No, I found the deck online somewhere. I think it might have been Meow who I saw first play it. Or no, it was I think was it Miss Lizzie? I think it might have been her. Yeah. What is Gray's out from this point? Oh, well, you see, there's Sunfall, there's Leyline Binding, there's Get Lost, there's, every Gardener deck, yeah. That's nice. August 1st, 2025. Wait, is that when they're rotating? I thought they'd change the rotation to the beginning of next year. So that must not be till the year after then. Yeah, and then from here there was just like not a lot I could do. Dun, 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 dun. Are the table spotters paid? Are you trying to say that they're paid actors? Oh yeah, I wanted to see what her sideboard was. So yeah, so her main deck was 2 Sunfall, 1 Day of Judgment, 1 Split Up, and she had 2 more Split Ups in the board, so 6 sweepers after board. I tried to, especially if I play all 9 rounds, sucks. Like, the sleeves, they just get a little, like, grimy and stuff. It was, yeah, it was. So I knew exactly how many sweepers she had. Thanks, Purples. I appreciate that. It was it was a crazy weekend, I wouldn't have it in any other way. Obviously, the wheels fell off a little bit on day 2. Finally ran into some Sunfall decks, but it was a great time. And the best part is I got to meet a bunch of amazing people, All my opponents were super cool. Just a great time all weekend. It was dope. Did I get the key for Cage after the event? No, that was only to the top 16 competitors, not the top 32 competitors. It was just a good environment, It's a good start to the year, New beginnings, as it were. New beginnings. So, they gave out cash to top 64, but it was a $200 prize bump for 32 to 64. So the 1% on breakers got me an extra $200. This draw was insane, by the way. Turn 2 Melira, turn 3 Invasion, and I took the Smite because I mean, you just want to flip Invasion as fast as possible, right? And then I'm putting her in a spot where now her Smite, not only can she not cast it this turn, it does nothing on subsequent turns. Now, this does force me to trade the Invasion for the split up, but I think that's fine, right? There's maybe a world where you let the split up resolve, but I don't think I'm ever doing that. It was the only other sleeves that I brought, okay? Yeah, Spike didn't make day 2. Spike went to the aquarium on day 2. Yeah, see, Loki gets it, you know. Spike played Stock Demir. I think he borrowed a deck from somebody. I don't know if I'm going to Denver. I haven't decided. Yeah, Standard's just great. Like, the Standard metagame was so good. It was pretty diverse, very, very wide open. A lot of different decks. They announced the format yesterday, Big Dog. It's Final Fantasy? No. Whatever the set after that is. It's limited. It's not Final Fantasy, right? It's what's the set after Final Fantasy? Aether Drift? Or Tarkir, right? Wait, now I'm confused. So, what's the first set of this year? Now I'm very confused. So it's Aether and then Tarkir and then Final Fantasy? Is that what it is? Snack Bar, how you doing today? Was a good weekend, all right. It was definitely a fun weekend. And again, seriously, guys, thank you all. For all the people who were supporting and people who were being supportive in chat, I thank you for that because it really does mean a lot to me. So none of this is possible without you guys. I wouldn't be here without you guys. And I thank you for that. No, Innistrad is not standard legal. I'm not sure yet, Midabula. I'll have to look and see what the prices for flights are to Denver. I don't know how like affordable they are, but I'll take a look. Right now, the only event that I'm currently planning on going to is Charlotte. Charlotte's the one that I have locked up. I thought the list was great. I think I played the best deck in the. I think I had one of the better decks in the tournament. You know, as the kids say, you can't dodge Sunfall the whole event. This was an interesting spot, by the way. Give me a second. Let me roll this back. I went a little too fast. So she ended up playing Beans this turn, right? And so here's the thing. I think she goes untap land pass. And I know that she has the Smite under, like, in exile that costs 2 more from Light Shield Array. I actually think that maybe I'm not supposed to attack with Melira this turn. Because, like, I guess I was thinking that I'm giving her a good use for her Smite. But also, if I don't attack with Melira, maybe I can just send... Yeah. Like, what I was thinking is that if she uses the Smite, right... She takes 6, goes to 9, and then I only have 8 power. But if I don't attack with Melira, attack with just Golem, she can't smite that. That's worse if she has, like, a Biting or a Get Lost. Yeah, I think Sendell is probably fine. It's close, though. Coming to Indy for Modern. Ooh. I don't know if I'm doing Indy, but we'll see. Dun, dun. So yeah, she ends up smiting the 3/3, takes 6, and it's not a 2-turn clock, right? She takes 6, goes to 9, and then I only have 8 power in play. There were 1,500 players. Well, okay, we're getting to that. We're gonna get to that in a second, Shattered. I'm gonna explain my reasoning. Okay, I'm gonna explain my reasoning. All right, that this is probably like the game 3 of this match was, I think, kind of like my toughest game of the tournament, and I think I like the line. Well, again, we'll get into that. This is kind of the important game. This game's already over. Yeah. Okay. So, game 3, all the marbles, right? Let's fast forward a little bit. Skip through sideboarding. Ding, ding, ding. All right, so she is a Surveilland. I get an elf. She got a beans. I mean, both of our draws are like picture perfect this game, so. I have elf 3-drop, she has beans Overlord, and we're both just kind of cooking, right? So she gets a land, she draws a card, and then I untap, and I have, okay, so here's what I'm thinking. As of right now, okay, I have I know for a fact, I don't remember anything else about the rest of my hand, but I know I have a 3rd land and 2 Aven Interrupters, okay? So, keep that in mind, right? Now, obviously this turn, I can't really play a creature because if I play a creature, she's just going to Sunfall me. So it's very obvious that you have to hold up the Interrupter this turn. So attack for 4, land pass, that's the easy part, right? No, I think 1 Toby is still fine. So hold up Interrupter, that's the easy part, right? And she knows that I have Interrupter in my deck. She's probably thinking that that's what I have in my hand. But we'll let it play for a second so I can show you what she does. So she names, I think one was naming Avatar, one was naming Human, if I remember correctly. Okay, so she plays the Overlord, triggers Beanstalk, right? Now remember, could be analyzed this game as if the Interrupters were Flanker too. Well, Flanker would be a lot worse, because that doesn't interact with the Overlord, right? Like, imagine it's a Flanker here, right? She resolves the Overlord. I play Flanker at end step, Scry 2, then I still don't have great attack. She can still just trade the 2 tokens for 2 of my things. So Flanker would certainly be a lot worse than Interrupter here. I will say that for sure, right? Okay, so here's my logic, right? I think my hand might be like 2 Interrupters, maybe another 3-drop, maybe, I don't think it was a Get Lost, maybe like a land or something. But I know for a fact I had 2 Interrupters, okay? So, what I'm thinking is that if I interrupt, remember, 2 Interrupters. If I interrupt the Overlord this turn, right, which is normally bad, because when they recast the Overlord, they get the 6/6 out of it. But, hear me out. Interrupt the Overlord this turn, untap, she doesn't have binding, because I'm probably going to lose if she has binding. But, interrupt the Overlord, untap, attack for 6, put her to 10. Next turn, again, this is this is not likely to happen, but let's just say hypotheticals. She then pays 2 mana for the other Overlord. I interrupt it again, and now I have 8 damage in play, and she's a 10, which is still not lethal, to be fair, right? But then again, if she has nothing, she then has to spend 4 mana on the Overlord next turn to make 2 blockers, and I have 5 attackers. So in the event where she has nothing, right, which is, again, extremely unlikely, but in the event where she has nothing, I don't think casting the Interrupter is that bad here. Because what's my other alternative? I'm just going to let it resolve, maybe cast the Interrupter anyways, and then I still just can't attack, right? So it's like, what am I supposed to do? Like, am I supposed to just do nothing here? I think I have to interrupt this. But this is maybe the hardest game of the tournament for sure. I don't know, Chad. What do you think? What would you do in this spot? Again, let's say your hand is land, interrupter, interrupter, and then so I think it was like a random 3-drop. Yeah, sure. Would have played for Gobakon, but you just kind of have to, right? If you only have one interrupter, you probably let this resolve, but I was thinking that because I had two, I was like, I can just kind of tempo her out of the game. I think you have to. I just don't think you have a different play. So, I did decide to cast the Interrupter, which obviously is sketchy, because she can just pay 2 mana to make a 6/6 next turn and still get the bodies. So, I think this line was okay, right? But, we're going to get to a problem here in a second. We're going to get to a problem. And I think I kind of tunnel visioned myself out of this game. So, I drew for turn, and the card that I drew could not have been, like, if it was just a basic land, it would have been so much better, because I wouldn't have been tempted to cast it. The card, I think I might have had a tap land too, so I couldn't double spell this turn. For whatever reason, I didn't have access to 5 mana. The card that I drew was Invasion of Gobakon. And for some reason, I really can't explain why I did this, but for some reason, I convinced myself that casting Gobakon this turn was good to, like, keep her off Sunfall. But the reality is, if she has Sunfall, I can just interrupt it, right? I really don't know what, like, compelled me to cast the... I don't know what compelled me to cast the Invasion this turn. Because, like, I had a reasonable line, and I did think about it for a little bit. This turn was terrible. I should not have played the Invasion this turn. That was a bad play. This was the worst play I made all tournament, I think. Yeah, no, I had the second Interrupter, but I just drew Invasion. If it was just a blank piece of cardboard, it would have been so much better. Which is funny. Yeah. It looks like all along the real answer was zero invasions. Oh, man. Now, to be fair, right? Okay, let's assume, because remember, the double Interrupter line is only good if she has nothing, right? So, now, we'll fast forward a little bit. She ends up having, spoiler alert, not nothing. She is casting Leyline Binding. Now, to be fair, if I take the double Interrupter line, I still think I lose to Leyline Binding, because I think what happens is I attack for 6, she takes it, right? If she goes to 10, and I think what she does, if her hand is, if she has Sunfall, and obviously has the Binding, she goes end phase, binding the Aven, right? I have a couple of options. If she end steps binding the Aven, sure, I get Pawpatch triggers, that's fine. I can Aven the Binding, but then if I do that, she can still just cast the Overlord next turn, which is bad, right? If I let the Binding resolve, now the Aven is not in play. She can pay 2 mana for she can pay 0 mana for the Overlord. I then have to Aven that, and then she just goes 5 mana Sunfall. I lose the game, right? So, I think even in the situation where I don't cast the Invasion and hold up the Aven Interrupter, I still think I lose this game if her hand is binding Sunfall, which it is. Like, okay, given the information that we know, right? Let's just say her hand is perfect, okay? Let's say for whatever reason, we know she has Binding, we know she has Sunfall. Is there a line that beats her having those 2 cards from this position? Like, assuming you didn't cast the Invasion, you know? I don't know if there's a line that beats her having those 2 cards. Like, any line you take, I think it always is going to lose to those 2 cards. I guess if she doesn't binding the Aven end of turn, then it's fine. But if her hand is binding Sunfall, I think she would, like, she's played this match very well, so I would assume she's going to kill the Aven end of turn. My hand at that point was a second Aven and some other card. I don't remember what the rest of my hand was, but I know I had a second Aven. For sure. Yeah, she played this match phenomenally. Overlord is beatable with a flipped Invasion. Is it? I can't attack into the 6/6. Yeah, and like, so the other thing is, remember, when me casting the Invasion last turn, I don't think I would ever consider doing that if I didn't have a second Aven. So like, I'm basically telling her that I have the second Aven, you know? Oh, for this event crime, I have a melee link right there. You can look at that. It's not certain the play would be Overlord before Sunfall. Maybe. Well, even in that instance, right? She casts the Sunfall, right? She Sunfalls, I Aven, then she Overlords. I have no attacks because she has a 6/6 and 2/2/1s. And then the following turn, I still can't attack because she has the Overlord, and she just doesn't even have to cast the Sunfall at that point. You know? Well, I'm saying it if she bindings the Aven end of turn, which presumably she will do, right? That's what we're assuming. Now, again, my play is like passing and not casting Invasion is good if she doesn't cast the binding end of turn, which she might not do, right? If she like is not picking up on the fact that I have a second Aven. But I think if she has the read on second Aven, she 100% casts the binding end of turn, targeting the Aven. But I think you're right. Maybe it's like if her hand is the nuts, I have to hope that she misplays, and the only way that I can get her to misplay is not binding end of turn, right? So it's better to just like not cast Invasion, hit for 6, pass, hope she doesn't cast the binding, pay 2 mana for the Overlord, and then she can't Sunfall that turn, and maybe there's a chance I can steal a game with like the Invasion next turn on the Sunfall, right? If she gets rid of this Aven, then Sunfall's first. You Aven in response, and Overlord costs 2 again. Oh, I see what you're saying. But what if she Overlords first? Because I don't have the Aven in play, right? If she Overlords first, then I'm just fucked. But I guess, again, that's like, I need her to make a mistake. You know what I mean? Which maybe, like, you know, that's the only way I can win, even if I don't expect her to make a mistake. I've determined that my hand is bad, and if I assume she has these cards, then I have to, like, hope that she somehow, like, finds a way to make a mistake. Well, what I'm saying is if she Overlords first, she doesn't have to Sunfall, because now her board is better than mine. Like, she just cast Overlord. If I say okay, then she's like, all right, pass, you know? There's no reason to cast the Sunfall at that point. She's winning on board. I can't ever attack into an Overlord, you know? It's a really tricky spot for sure. Very, very tricky spot. I'll let it play out from here because we talked about it a lot, but I think I kept 7, yeah. I think I kept the hand that was Elf, Pawpatch, Double Aven. I'm pretty sure I kept 7. Really tricky match, though. A lot of different ways this match could have played out. I don't know about you guys, and I know this is not like the type of content that we normally do, but this has been pretty fun. Just like going back and seeing how these games played out, like the things that I could have done differently. This has been pretty cool. Yeah. See, now I'm just dead. when I cast the Invasion, I'm like, wait, now I can't beat the Overlord. As soon as I played it, I'm like, why did I do that? Oh, yeah, that's a good point. I don't think she had Sunfall in hand. She may have drawn it after the Invasion. What matchup are you the happiest to have avoided? Well, I would say Domain, but as you can see, I didn't avoid it. I would have liked to avoid Domain, because this tournament may have had a different outcome if that happened. I don't know. I could have played this game better. I'm not sure I would have won either way, but I certainly could have played this game better. Yeah. So I think what I've determined is the only way that I can ever win this game is hope she doesn't have Sunfall. I think I have to hope she doesn't have Sunfall and Binding. If she has either one of those cards, I think I just die. But if she for some reason doesn't have either of them, then maybe there's a chance I can win this game. The Brushlands are pretty. Yeah. Are they? I don't know if they're that pretty. They're the cheapest. Yeah. I think I kind of like tunnel vision a little bit when I drew the invasion, but I think I had to go for the double even line. So that was my third loss, and then I ended up picking up a fourth loss to Gruul the next round when I multi-5 twice, and then I won the last round against Dimir. So ended up with an 11-4 record, which was good enough for exactly 32nd place. No, it's not bad. Not a bad weekend, huh? And like I said, I got to meet a lot of awesome people. Thank you guys for all the support. I wouldn't be able to do any of this without all of you continuing to watch the channel, support the content, and just being here and hanging out, you know? It means the world to me, so thank you for that. Couldn't have envisioned a better weekend. It was a lot of fun. Had a great time, and it was good.